that lasting so long? Bro, is this an event? What just happened?
I must have hit the algorithm or something. 1K feels insane for a channel my size. That's more than 10 times more views than I have subs. Is it bad that I saw it get that far and I got scared? I'm not expecting to maintain that going forward, but for those of you that showed up,
thank you.
In case you're new, I've been playing for about 2 years and I'm starting over on an alt as a free-to-play. The goal is to get the account far enough to start clearing in-game content outside of anomaly arbitration and guide new players as I go. I've been advised to actually tell you to press the like button and subscribe, but it's more fun for me to tell you to press the buttons all the other content creators tell you to hit. We're gonna do a story recap and then I'll get into my plans for the account. Before anything, I used my golden companion spirit on Ron May, leveled her up, and dropped Trailblazer from my team. After feeding Svarog, I head to the Gerda Hotel and I meet up with March and Don Hung, and we make plans to meet up with Wildfire and continue our search for the Stellaron. We rest in the game cuts to Branya and Zila back at the orphanage, still talking about their childhood experiences. Branya brings up that she plans to ask her mother about what she knows of the nature of the Stellaron and gives a letter to Zila to be handed to us. She says that if she's unable to see Zila again, we'll know what to do, but Zila vows to come save her. After waking up, March, Don Hung, and I head over to meet Oleg, Sampo, and Zila. Sampo is going to be our guide back to the surface, and Zila gives us Branya's letter, and in it she says she's already returned to the surface and that we should seek out Japard and Serval Landau and give them this letter should she fail to win over her mother. Spoiler alert, she fails. When Branya confronts her mother, Cocolia tries to force the voice of the Stellaron inside her head.
Leave me alone!
It's this voice that made Cocolia set us up in the beginning. She also takes Branya to see the Stellaron on Everwinter Hill. When Zila, March, Don Hung, and I make it to the surface, Sampo vanishes. We decide to head to the workshop and speak with Serval. In our conversation, we learn that she is a former architect and a Stellaron researcher, and that her research into the Stellaron got her expelled from the research division and ended her friendship with Cocolia. When she learns that it's the Stellaron that has us running from the law, she immediately takes our side and starts working with us. She has a general idea of where the Stellaron might be, but to get to that area, we'd have to cross the Silvermane Guard restricted zone, and she's excited to try and get us through since she wants to actually see the Stellaron. She's able to sneak us into the restricted zone because of her relation to the captain, Japard, but it didn't take long for the guards to realize she lied about her reason for being there, and it ended in a fight with us and her brother. You can't really blame Japard for this. As far as he was concerned, we were an enemy to Belobog, and he was following orders from Cocolia. But after getting beaten and seeing Branya's letter, he lets us pass. Serval stayed with him, however, so she wasn't able to see the Stellaron. We eventually catch up to Branya and Cocolia on Everwinter Hill. Zila, worried that Branya may have already lost her way from the influence of her mother, and the Stellaron reminds her that she promised to save her. Fortunately, Branya is still with us and hasn't lost her way. Cocolia has been given a vision of an alternate future for Eurillo by the Stellaron and wants to work toward it with her daughter, but rather than try to force Branya to work alongside her, Cocolia tells her that she has the right to choose, but if she chose to oppose, then Cocolia would descend into torment. And descend she did because Branya did not side with her and a battle ensued. It was a three-parter. Just before the first phase, Cocolia wakes up this massive robot called the Engine of Creation. Apparently this thing isn't even a weapon and was built for construction, but Cocolia said it's a weapon today. In the first phase, there were just 3 waves of some pretty basic enemies, and just before phase 2, Cocolia tries to hit us with that robot. And because saw that wind up from the Express and wasn't having it, took that arm out with a space laser. Then we're put into a cinematic where we climb the robot and face off with Cocolia on what I'm assuming is its shoulder, and it's a 1v1 this time, and we get absolutely bodied. I don't know why they thought I could take the 1v1. As soon as I made it to her, Cocolia turned into some cosmic ice demon. But I have plot armor and get put into a pocket dimension where we meet the Guardian's Will. I'm not sure if this is Alyssa Rand or an amalgamation of different Supreme Guardians, that they are tortured at the sight of the home they vowed to preserve being withered away. They feel there's nothing left for their successors. That's where we come in. If there's nothing they can do, maybe I can intervene. They tell me to touch the light of the amber and see if I can attract the gaze of Klapa, the preservation. What follows is us trying to lift this lance out of nothing, but visually it reminds me of Sword in the Stone or Link getting the Master Sword in Zelda. When we lift the lance, we are noticed by Klopoth, heal of our injuries, and face Cocolia for the final time with a set of new abilities. And so with this, I have some questions. Why was the lance in this space, and what was so special about me being able to lift it? If I lifted it and didn't get Klopoth's gaze, would I have been healed? Would I still have been able to use it in the fight with Cocolia, or would it have stayed in that dimension? Is the lance the source of our new preservation powers, or is the Trailblazer an emanator of preservation? It's said that the methods through which Aeons grant power and the extent of that power can vary. I'm convinced we're an emanator, just not a very powerful Also, somehow we took control of the engine of creation and were able to hit Cocolia with it. With our squad, engine of creation, and new preservation powers, Cocolia is no match. In desperation, she tries to fuse with the Stellaron, but I guess her body just couldn't sustain it like ours can, and she got turned to dust. I'm a little lost on what happened to the Stellaron after this. Don Hung says that Himiko and Welt will seal it, but we don't see it again after Cocolia's death. And I don't think they ever left the Astral Express, so how do they do it? Also, Bronya is now the new Supreme Guardian, but rather than telling the people the truth of the Stellaron and how she had to fight against her mother to preserve a future for Belobog, she instead lies and says that Cocolia lost her life trying to destroy the Stellaron. She believes that if people learn the truth of what happened, and has been happening for several generations of Supreme Guardian, people will no longer be able to trust them. I'm not sure that I agree, and I'm not okay with this decision, but I understand where it came from. When I got control of my character again, I was granted access to 2 more paths for the Trailblazer: Harmony and Remembrance. Being glanced upon by an Aeon and being given a new set of abilities happens 2 more times. And rather than having to grind through tens of hours of narrative content to unlock them, I've been granted early access. In one of the previous episodes, I mentioned that there was a free character I could get who was similar to Bronya in some ways, and that I plan to use them. That character was Remembrance Trailblazer, or RMC. Also, I finished up some side quests, got more Jade, did some pulls, and we have a new member in our roster. Sorry to let you down, Wheel, but by the time you left this comment, I already had her. They said I should wait for a 4.x support unit, but I don't know who those units are or what they'll do. I'd hate to wait and be met with something hyper-specific like High Ceilings. I'll take something that I already know to be good and pretty universal. Not too long after the fight with Cocolia, Bronya had her coronation and delivered that message I wasn't too happy with. I got a chance to speak with her after in her office, and once I was able to leave, I was granted access to what I like to call the worst mechanic in this game. There's only like 2 things in this game that actively piss me off, and this is one of them. But my love for the characters and narrative is so strong that I continue to deal with it. Planars specifically aren't what upset me, it's relics as a whole. I'm about to start venting about why, so stick with me for a sec. I'm gonna try and keep it quick. I've briefly covered relics before, but to recap, they're like enchanted armor for your character. There are 4 slots for your main armor pieces and 2 for planars, which you can think of as like enchanted jewelry. If you wear 2 pieces of armor of the same set, you get a 2-piece armor effect. If you wear the full set, you get both the 2-piece and the full piece or 4-piece armor effects. And planars work the same way, except there are only 2 to wear, so you just pick the set with the effect you like. What pisses me off about relics is the struggle to get good pieces. Each individual piece in a relic set buffs a specific character stat. All the hand pieces increase attack, all the head pieces increase HP, but the body piece and the boots have a variety of different stats they can improve. The body piece can improve any of these stats, and the boots can improve any of these. So let's say I'm building Welt, and I want this set because I think it's good for him. Take a look at the 2-piece and 4-piece effects, right? Welt wouldn't mind those. And let's say I want Welt to hit crits as often as possible, so I want a crit rate body piece. I go to the cavern that has the set I'm looking for, and I run into my first problem. There are 2 sets here. You can't just farm 1 set at a time, and you can't farm a singular piece in 1 set. So I can spend all of my stamina here and get a bunch of relics, but none of them are body pieces, or I might get body pieces, but none of them have crit rate as the main stat, or it might be for the wrong set. This is a problem I'm going to have to face for both the body piece and the boots. Now look at these 2 pieces. These are both hand pieces, and they both boost attack, but you'll notice each one has a different set of substats that they're improving. I want crit rate as a substat on my headpiece, handpiece, and boots to get as much as possible for Welt, and these are all random. Now if I end up getting a bunch of bad pieces in 5-star rarity, I can salvage them for this resource that I can use to craft a specific piece from a specific set. But unless I have this item, I can't choose which main stat or substats that piece will have, and I can only choose 2 of the substats when items can have 4. Also, as you level up these relics, one of the substats will improve, and they can improve multiple times, but you can't choose which. This is also random. But if you don't like how the substat level rolled, you can use this item to re-roll, but again, this is another gamble, but you can use this item to lock a stat from being chosen to improve your odds. And all of this is something you can do for planars too. I don't mind some RNG, but I think when it comes to character building, there's too much. I already gambled to get the character I wanted. I don't like having to gamble on whether or not they'll be any good now that I have them. You have to gamble for the set, have to gamble to get the right piece in the set, have to gamble to get the right main stat on the piece, have to gamble to get decent substats on that piece, and have to gamble on leveling it up. And you have to gamble on fixing it if you gambled on leveling and lost. When I brought this up as a complaint to a friend, they said, oh, so you don't like gacha games. And if this is normal for gacha games, then yeah, I'd rather spend my time building a piece exactly as I want it and having it take longer and farming for a bunch of random BS and hoping my odds are good eventually. And I don't like gambling on characters either. 50-50s feel criminal. I'd rather go to max pity every time, but be guaranteed the character I was pulling for than have a chance at losing to Yen Cheng. I had heard of people losing, having bad luck in these games, but I didn't quite understand until I started playing it myself. But had I had a full grasp, I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't have even started, and I refused to pick up a second gacha game because of it. And you're probably thinking, if you feel this way, why haven't you left? And it's the writing. In the last episode, I mentioned I went 4 months before ever doing a single pull. And in that time, and since, I've been getting more invested in the characters and the lore for this game, and I'm hooked. I'm willing to put up with this stuff even if I dislike it so strongly, because what I think it offers outside of it is that good. Even though I'm complaining about the RNG, I don't have to deal with it too much until I unlock 5-star relics, and I'm building characters for endgame. And speaking of, here are my thoughts for teams so far. I want to take Welt all the way, but I'm not sure he's strong enough. He might be though, so I'm thinking Welt, RMC, Tribi, Donghong. The only thing now is for the team to have the right pieces and be leveled up, and I could swap Welt for basically any other DPS should I decide to pick one up. And for Archer, I'm still thinking. I'm interested in going for Hyacinth and saving from then until 4.x. That's all for now. Next time we'll have left Bellabog and started our next adventure. I've been advised to tell you to hit the like button and subscribe, but again, it's more fun to tell you to hit the buttons all the other content creators tell you to hit. Till next time.